Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Find Your Alpha podcast. You are watching conversations, discussions about creativity, innovation, technology. But this morning or this night, depending on where you're watching from in the
Yeah.
world, some of these conversations are going to go really deep into how a creative functions. Okay, so we're talking about work life balance, we're talking about trauma, we're talking about how a creative can be a dysfunctional functioning person.
Absolutely.
Now that's crazy, right, to hear, but I think you'll understand a little bit more. So on the set with me today in the studio is a renowned photographer, award winning. He's a creative genius, is what I'm going to call him. And he's also at the forefront of pushing the conversations that drive the business of photography. He's a CEO of Insignia Media and also the founder of the Business of Photography Conference and Initiative. And he is Mr. Kola Oshalusi. Welcome.
Ooh, drum roll, drum roll, yeah. Clap it Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, Colin, so great to have you.
Thank you.
So great to have you.
It's good to be
Our
here.
conversations off camera are always so exciting. And, it's great to have and
Awesome.
capture that conversation on camera today.
Absolutely.
And I want to
Absolutely,
start
Mr.
with, where you have found yourself or where you have put yourself, let me put it that way, where you have positioned yourself in the creative economy, which is the photography space. But as I mentioned in the introduction, you are at the forefront of driving conversations around the business of photography. Why
Absolutely.
is that so important to you?
Um, it's interesting because my career didn't start. I mean, we're all born creatives anyway, but I studied science. Yeah, I mean, we never choose those things.
So you're a scientist.
I'm a scientist. I mean, I still know the all tables, both the mathematical, chemical table, and all of that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so, but it's interesting because, I love science. It wasn't even the push, it was a curiosity. I'm a very curious, curious person. So I was a curious child, and it was a no brainer me moving into science because I was just curious. But then, some way, somehow, I think art found me. Um,
Or you
but then
connected with art?
art found me. Art
Okay.
found me.
Okay.
Art
Okay.
found me. Just kidding. I literally connected with art because that's who I've always been. But I think another thing found me, which is business. So I won't say I connected. I will say business found me. And why I say that is, uh, in the course of me, enjoying the new space I've moved into, which is the art space, I realized the importance of financial stability.
Right.
Uh, that for you to truly stay creative, you have to be financially stable. I don't pride being a workaholic, but people say it. I try to debunk it, but being a workaholic might not be a bad thing. Uh, Being an unaware workaholic is the evil because I don't think there's anyone who has succeeded genuinely that is not a workaholic. One key thing about workaholic, whether they admit it or not, is they will always sacrifice something
Yeah.
for what they believe
Yeah.
and what they do. And it's because of workaholics that we have the world rolling the way it is. People who push, but then not being aware of it and not being conscious of possible um, negative implications of being a workaholic is where the crisis might be. So I love what I do. I work really hard, and suddenly at some point I realized I was working so hard, and I was
And not
thinking of
seeing
yeah, I
the
was thinking of what I
results.
shouldn't think of, which is money.
Right.
So I sort of changed that early on in my career, but then I realized it's a pattern in the creative space
Right.
because the creatives just want to create. They don't care. So they put passion first before reasoning.
Before
A
and
lot,
before profit.
yeah, profit is far before reasoning. So you don't even reason it. Sit here now, tell a creative a brilliant idea. He soaks it in, he say, let's go. He's not thinking, so how do we fund it? The first thing is, we can do it, let's do it. That's the first thing. So a lot of times, that's who we are because we're passionate. And it's evident in what we continue to create,
Right.
our art forms. That's why people look at what we're doing like, man, how did they think about this? Because that's who we are. We think with our soul. But it doesn't help anyone when you think with your soul and you don't think with your head. God didn't create you to think with your soul.
Well, he didn't create you to think with your
So,
soul alone.
no, yes,
Yes.
absolutely. So, but that's what we've chosen. So over time, I realized that it's literally a pattern. So I see fantastic creatives that I'm so much in love with their work. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say I follow certain young creatives, to get inspiration. And I see how amazing their mind is, how their mind works in creating and curating works. And then you sit with them. Initially, I used to think, oh no, because they're creative, they just dress shabbily because they don't care about the looks. But then I realized they
They
couldn't
actually
afford
can't
it.
afford it.
Yes, but they keep doing great work. So I'm like, this is not right in any way. Um, so we started the whole idea of, you know, um,
Teaching creatives
teaching
the
creative.
business
Yes,
of
absolutely.
photography.
And it didn't. So it started with blog posts. I just wanted to share my mind about what it is and you know tell them what I think and teach basically from my own experience. So it started with a magazine platform, an online magazine platform, and then I realized, wait, hold up. I'm only talking from one perspective, and
Right.
that's my perspective. How about we create a forum or a space where we can have so many people we've seen, have been in the space for a period of time. How about we bring them into the conversation and say, listen, how have you navigated?
Right.
Have you built business, structure, system around what you do?
Yeah.
What can we learn? And that's something that wasn't existing in the space because in this part of the world, creatives just want to keep everything to self.
Yeah.
It's an issue of I'm succeeding, I'm better than the next guy.
Yeah. I don't want to share my secrets. I don't want
Absolutely.
to let anyone know what
So
I'm doing, what I'm about.
and it's not their fault. Trust me. It's a wrong mindset, which is not just typical to Nigeria. It's a global wrong mindset. Which, as much as I'm lucky to have gone to a business school, I think the bulk of what you learn in business school are business and life cyanide that could kill and kill anybody. Because you're taught that every other person is your competition.
Right.
And God didn't create us as competitors, He created us as collaborators. So you see them embodying the competition mindset as against the collaboration mindset.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you see them in silos. So we had to deal with that. Uh, we saw that one of the challenges, because I had to sit down and say, listen, what are the challenges? So beyond me saying, oh, they're not making money, I had to look back and ask myself, well, where are my own challenges?
Right.
So I analyze those challenges and say, okay, this is what these challenges are, the way I've experienced it, this is what I think I need to do. So I wanted to know why people have held on to that mindset of not wanting to help others or share with others or having a fear that if I teach the next person,
They'll be more successful than I
do you
am.
understand? So,
Yes.
and it's not an easy thing. It's a human thing. It's not a Nigerian thing. It's a human thing.
Right.
So I had to come from that angle. So while we're talking to people who wanted to learn and hear from, we had to also make them understand the mindset we have. And for those who were stuck, we had to create some sort of mindset shift for them to realize why it's important for them if they want to build the sector to be able to share knowledge and have as many of us as possible
Yes,
succeed.
of course.
And that's where we started from. So we got lucky. First year, fantastic. Got a big venue, because we also wanted to create the perception of it's you can be a creative and succeed.
Yeah.
So we picked the biggest event hall, literally in Nigeria, for conferences, and then we paid for it. And We couldn't get finances, but I was lucky enough to have some funds saved that we used. So literally bankrolled everything. And it was amazing. We had about 1,500 for a first time event.
Oh wow.
Yeah, for a first time event. And it was,
It was
you know,
eye opening even
listen,
for you. How
listen,
much
so when I saw people sending in messages from Benin Republic, from Togo, from Ghana, uh, from Kenya, from South Africa, that they want to come in, I thought it was a joke. And then when I came in at the conference and I was walking around, people were walking up to me and saying they came in from Benin, they came in from Cameroon, they came in from Ghana for the workshop. And I'm like, what? The whole of West Africa? They say, yeah, they had to fly in the day before. So literally it created something. Hotels around the venue got businesses.
Yes.
Food vendors, whatever, got businesses.
Yes.
Taxi drivers around there got businesses.
Yes.
And it just started making sense. And then the conversation was profoundly amazing. I thought I cracked it. Realized, no, bro, you need to learn.
There's so many layers to this. First time you get lucky,
Go-
and then you think, okay,
I-
okay, it's going to be the exact the same way the next time.
It was everything, listening to people I looked up to as mentors. And another thing that happened was, so people for once realized that the celebrities that they thought were snobs could be demystified, that they're just normal humans who had their own normal
Yes,
problems.
yes.
It literally changed. So you could see them connecting.
Mm-hmm.
And that became like the biggest connection in the photography industry
Had seen.
ever seen.
Yeah.
And it started what even we didn't expect. And things started moving. By the second edition, we had over 2,300 people, coming in. Then businesses started opening. So we had marketplace, we had photography exhibitions, we had this, we had master classes. It became a communal thing, community. And, we're lucky we realized that the only way to get them in at the start for what they were not used to is to make it free. So it was absolutely free. It was expensive, but we're looking at it that if we could add value, it will get cheaper.
Yeah.
And yeah, not that it really got cheaper anyway.
Of course. Because nothing gets cheaper.
Nothing gets cheaper. But it really worked. And
Right.
now we get quite a lot of partnership and support and people seeing what we do. So we're collaborating with other projects, having smaller series. Because those are things we learn. We realize the peculiarity of the business ecosystem in the city I live, as someone who's lucky to be a city boy, and realize it's not the same narrative in some other parts of the country, in some other countries
Right.
across Africa. So start curating, smaller specific conversations, to serve those communities. And here we are.
And here we are, 7 years
been a-
later, isn't it?
Yes, 7.
7 years later.
7, yes.
I mean, we connected, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah, almost 3 years ago.
Two-
There was,
2
it was
years
two
ago.
editions ago.
Yes. So it was
Yes.
2 years ago that
Yeah, it
we
was
connected.
20, yeah,
And,
2 years ago, yeah.
In fact, it was even at ACM.
It was, yes.
It was at the Africa Creative
It was
Market.
the first edition of
It
the
was
African Creative
right,
Market,
right.
which we took over the photography day, and
Yes.
we were pushing and driving
Yeah.
because we just sort of realized that, see, listen, we've preached collaboration. This is a collaborative opportunity, and then we need to bring the community together and realize the potential of saying, you know what, not just photographers now, other
But
people in the creative
creative,
space. So
yes.
let's put them in the same room with investors, financiers, and let's have conversation. And it was the perfect fit.
I mean, I've got to say that, coming to the BOP conference that time,
Yeah.
2 years ago, I think was what inspired us to even do the photo talk shop. It was an
absolutely.
inspiration
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that. Just looking at it and saying, look, we are in a space where creatives feel like they're on their own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a brand, it's important for us to make them, understand and feel like, you're not on your own.
Absolutely.
And yes, equipment is great. The engagement is fantastic. But we also want to have impact.
Absolutely.
And impact you beyond the equipment that you're using, impact you so that you can become the kind of creative that can
That's
appreciate your work, that can be
absolutely.
appreciated across the borders, but also have the knowledge, have the skills, develop the knowledge and the skills so that you can become exportable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just saying kudos to you for
Thank you,
for
and
that.
thank you.
Kudos to you for what you're doing. And, I think that the conversation around the business, whether it's the business of photography or the business of creativity, it has to be ongoing.
Absolutely,
And it has to
it's
have different levels and layers.
it's inexhaustible.
It's
Yeah,
inexhaustible
yeah.
and it doesn't change. It doesn't stop because there are new entrants every single day. There are new, emerging photographers, there are
yeah.
emerging filmmakers, there are emerging creative people every
Absolutely.
single day.
Yeah.
And so even if it seems like we're having the same conversation, every year,
I mean, it is reinforced knowledge.
it's
When you-
reinforced
yeah.
knowledge. Exactly.
Every time you reinforce that conversation, it builds a different perspective
Yes.
of knowledge, and people see differently. And it's, I mean, we're talking here one way or the other. It's not just about the product brand. It's not
Yeah.
about Sony anymore.
Yeah.
It's about Sony and impact.
Yes.
So it's not about Sony and the gear. I mean, I could pick up any gear, but it's easier for me to align with Sony if I feel an affection towards the brand because the
Exactly.
brand has an affection towards me.
Exactly.
So that's what's created. So it's reinforced conversation. It's an inexhaustible conversation because for every time you think you're done, when you open it, it's almost like you're peeling an onion, and then you suddenly realize that there's still
There's
one more
another
layer
layer.
and another layer. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So I'm going to piggyback on your admission to be a workaholic. Yes, yes. Even though you want to debunk it, I'm going to
I mean,
piggyback on
it's important to debunk such claims.
your admission, because I think it is so important to, as creatives, for us to realize that we have a life beyond the
Absolutely.
work.
Absolutely.
We have a life beyond the work.
Absolutely.
And you keep working, you keep working, you keep working, you get exhausted, you keep working
Yeah.
even though you're exhausted.
Yeah.
Then you begin to feel like your work isn't good enough
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
But you're not connecting it to the
Yeah.
fact that it's because you're exhausted.
Absolutely.
You're not connecting it to the fact that you can't think of new ideas. Yeah. You can't think of new ideas. You can't bring up new concepts because you're mentally
Yeah.
exhausted.
Yes.
You're physically exhausted.
Absolutely.
So how important is work-life balance for a creative?
I didn't realize this, and I've never shared this, except with very few friends. I've had 3 breakdowns, which are products of extreme stress. And the last one that made me say, "Okay, nope,
No more.
nope," is I was diagnosed with chronic stress disorder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and it became really extreme. And I'm like, shh, Kola, this has to stop.
What is that? What is chronic stress disorder and how does that affect you?
Oh yeah, it's terrible. It's a situation where the body physically shuts down to save itself. So the brain tells the body, you know what,
You can't do
you
anymore.
can't do. If you go on, you're gonna die. So the brain automatically tells itself that, you know what, you have to save certain part of the body, or so it could shut down literally almost any part that feels is overworked. In some cases, it induces coma.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then if the brain never gets to restart itself, that's it. So it's crazy. Yeah, it's a very crazy. Yeah, yeah. So because what it does is it starts shutting down part of your body. It could shut down your motor system.
Right.
Shuts down your hand. It shuts down your leg, and it will take days. Mine took almost 5 days for me to be able to use, most of, part of my body.
So you just felt like as if you were almost paralyzed?
Yeah, literally, that's it. You're paralyzed.
Oh,
You're paralyzed.
wow.
Yeah, and then you have to learn to reuse those part of your body. So, 5 minutes walk. No, I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk 10 steps without resting. Um, and it was a very tough one. I mean, never seen my wife that scared. I'll have to wait till she comes back from work, and then she's the one that'll come pick me up, and then we'll do it. So I do I do 500 yards in almost an hour 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I walk 10 steps. I sit. Uh, I have to get myself, and then we stand up
Get
again.
up
She
and go again.
assists. I do because I had to get back to work. I mean, that's who I
I
am.
mean,
Yeah,
you're a workaholic.
yeah.
Your body shuts
Just,
down, and
but
then you
I had
have
to
to go.
kick. I had to kickstart. I had
You've
to
got to
kickstart it
kickstart
somewhere.
because you've got to go back to work
Yeah.
again.
So and it was, but I realized how dangerous that was. And I mean, the doctor had warned me to be careful a few months before because I'd gone with some sort of complaint. So when it happened, I knew that was it. But it was careful also to tell me if I don't stop. So when those signs started, and lucky for me, I mean, I'm a scientist. I worked in medical space for almost 7 years, so I I could easily
Identify.
identify those things, and
Right.
I took the easiest. So it happened while I was at work, so I quickly jumped into the car. I didn't have a driver. I drove myself home. Once I go home, I called the hospital. I'm like, this is bad. And like, okay, you know what? They're gonna come get me. They got me too much to the hospital. They're like, listen, option A is you have to be ready to rest. We're gonna let you go home, get a driver to take you back home, or you stay here. You have to choose, but you cannot go out. I said, no, I'd rather go home. I mean, stubborn me. Trust me, I go home. I didn't leave that house for 2 weeks. I didn't get to my gate for 2 weeks. No, I didn't get to my door.
For 2 weeks.
I couldn't. I couldn't stand up. My wife was bathing me on the bed before she goes to work. She got her clothes and mopped me. I couldn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't do anything.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was crazy, and a few things came to mind. Hardly did anyone miss me. I mean, people were calling me for
That's a different. That's a
yeah.
different ball
Trust
game
me, listen.
entirely.
People were calling me for work, and I'm like, no, I can't work. And they're like, oh, so sorry, you're not feeling well. I said, yes. Okay, so what do we do? I can't do your project now. And oh, that's so sad. We really, really want you. Can't you try? I'm like, no. Okay, it's fine. We totally understand. And that was it. After
And they
two
moved
weeks,
on.
I mean, they've got to get their job done.
Yeah.
And those who survived were my immediate family. The poor woman has to wake up way early in the morning because, I mean, I struggle to sleep. I can't even sleep. So she's barely sleeping herself.
Wow.
And then she has to get me cleaned and all of
And
that.
set for the day.
Set for the day.
Take care of the kids.
Yeah.
Before
and then
going
go
to work. And come
then,
back and do it all over again. And start again the
and then
following day.
she'll sit with me, she'll talk. Because there was no one I could talk to. I could barely use my phone.
Wow.
So she became my companion. We didn't want to scare the kids. So they'll come in after school. I'll have their nanny just, take them. Sometimes they won't know daddy is in because I'll tell their nanny to just keep them away just so I could rest. It's just my wife and the nanny that knew that I was bedridden at that point. So it was quite the scare for me. So it's so important that we realize that work is a part of life.
Yeah.
Work is not life. And if you miss it, if you lose it, you can't gain it back.
Yeah.
One is you're not getting younger. One is you cannot relive experiences. It will never be the same.
Yeah.
And the time you miss sharing with those who truly matter in your life, you can never have it back. I've got a daughter who is a woman now because she's past teenage years already. It was her 20th birthday a few days ago, so she's no more 18. And I look back at the years I missed.
You can't get it
It
back.
was almost like she grew up too fast. I mean, she's out of the university, and I'm like, how? I took you to primary school. I have pictures of the first day. I have pictures of your 4, 5, 5th year day. I was carrying you. Look at your picture. And she's a woman now. And yeah, I'm doing everything to make sure
You make up the
I
time.
make up for it, but it's not the same. I mean, she understands. But that's what she can do, understand that daddy has to work and make money. But the reality is I lost out part of those, childhood. And you can't get it back.
Yeah.
So you need to understand that this is important for you as a creative. You need to have that balance. You need to understand that you don't have to be in the spotlight every time.
Yeah.
You know, Enjoy.
That's another fear I
Yeah.
think creatives have.
Yes.
But I think that it comes from a place of, okay, so I want to be in the spotlight because I want to be big, but I think it also ties into the concept of I need to keep earning,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely.
So yes, I want to make
Yeah.
money. I want to be known. I want to be celebrated for most people
Yes. Yeah.
anyway. But at the same time,
Bottom
at the
line
bottom
is they
line
also
of
want
it
to. Yeah.
is I want to be able to afford the life that I
Lifestyle.
want to live.
So.
But they never really get to live that lifestyle because
Because they're gonna waste it.
yeah,
Because they don't know what it is about. They're gonna waste it, and it's something you have to be very conscious about. So the number one thing I say is you need to understand the importance of contentment. Financially, the society has taught us something wrong, something different, but you need to be contented. It doesn't mean you shouldn't aspire. It just means you should appreciate life at
right.
that point. That life is in stages, processes, and all of that are in stage. You just need to appreciate it. You need to, cherish every day that it's a miracle that you must relish, you must enjoy. It's something we never, ever, a lot of times as creative, get to appreciate that we're valuable. Where we are is important. It's a part of a journey. Success is not a destination. It's a journey.
It's a part
You
of
yeah.
your life's journey.
Absolutely. So you must live through it. When you don't have, when you feel down, you couldn't create and all that. It's part of the whole journey. You know, we just need to realize it. So a lot of creatives don't realize this. Yes, they also want to keep making money, but then what's money when there's
When
no
there's no
health?
life,
When
there's
there's
no
no life,
health.
yes.
And then when you get sick, you then
You
spend
spend
all the money
and
to make sure
you get
you
back.
get
So
back
it's
to
it's
health.
almost a terrible cycle. That people get trapped in, and it creates a lot of fear and anxiety, and that releases terrible hormones into your system that keeps breaking you down,
Yeah.
and then it's almost like a non-ending circle. So as creatives, you need to get to that point where you take a pause. There's nothing wrong in you taking a pause. There's nothing wrong in you stepping back and not being the superstar.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong in you just saying, be I want to be happy, and you stay happy irrespective of what you have with you.
Yeah.
Irrespective of the fact that you've not created work that people have clapped for you in a while. The work that you didn't celebrate today, they might not just understand it. Doesn't mean it's not an absolutely outstanding work. You just need to understand that your pace is right.
Right. And the
Enjoy
pace is right for
for
you.
you, because who is the creative? You are. You define the narrative. You must get to that mindset of I define the narrative, and then roll with that, and then grow with that. It's a tough one that quite a lot of us don't understand, and some people don't get lucky as I am, to share the story, share the narrative.
Yeah.
But it's something that quite a lot of creative need to learn. Which is why I push, and I push. For me, I push from the perspective of um, um, while I do business, I do life.
Yeah.
I do both, and it's kind of tough when you look at it. So I'm building the business. I'm managing people. I'm trying to stay as a thought leader in my space. I'm trying to inspire people, but then I'm also trying to inspire my family.
Yeah.
I'm
I
also
mean,
trying to be
you're
yeah,
basically you're setting an
yeah,
example. If you're saying, look, this is what you got to do, this is how you got to
yeah.
live, then you also have to be living that life
That's like
to be able to
absolutely,
inspire the people that are around you, or
absolutely,
even influence the people that are around you with the
absolutely,
same mindset as well.
absolutely. So it's not just about me saying it;
Yeah.
it's about me doing it, and that's what I've been doing the last few years. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for it.
So what happens when a creative experiences burnout?
Take a break. Don't even think about it. Listen, take a break. Don't think about it. Burnout will come. It's a normal. Um, I'm a Christian, so I like using the biblical analogy. Christ's ministry was for 3.5 years, but there's something he did most within that 3.5 years, because the Bible is It's a summary of his lifestyle. We didn't know much about his life for 30 years. What his routine or his
What his
lifestyle
routine
was,
was
we didn't know.
until
But it was something can deduce from what I've learned in the Bible about him. At every point when he finishes his ministry,
he would rest.
he rests. It got to a point he was resting, sleeping in the middle of a storm. The disciples had to go say, Master, Master, he won't kill us.
Help us.
Which kind of sleep would they sleep? You won't take sleep, kill yourself. Storm day like this, Master, you did sleep. They come guys tell and say, Master, don't you care that we perish? They didn't say, Master, don't you care that you perish? They say, Master, don't you care that we perish?
perish.
Master, what was he? You want to win job me? I've been ministering since. Say, Storm, you two calm down, let them go. Master went back to sleep. He didn't say Master didn't go back to sleep. Master said, Storm, calm down. This was disturbing my sleep. Master went back in and slept. He just insulted them. You people of little faith, what's wrong with you? Bye. He went back to sleep. And if you read the Bible, it says he would always go away. Do you understand? Once they're done with the program, he goes away to recharge.
Yeah.
Now, whether he's praying is another thing.
Yeah.
But he does something, he goes to recharge. So he understands the reason why you need to step back. You know, religion teaches you that in the midst of silence and quietness is where you hear God.
Yes.
You know, and the same thing for us as creative. In the midst of
the silence and the stillness
is where we get inspired.
Yeah.
It's where everything we've learned, everything we've seen at the end of the day, you know, begins to create or form some sort of image in our mind. Yes, absolutely. So for us is something we need to. So when you fail to do it continuously, is what results into burnout.
Right.
Now, burnout is both spiritual and physical. Now, the spiritual part of burnout is it disconnects you from rational reasoning, from your spirituality, from creating.
Yeah.
Now, the physical part of burnout is that your body begins to break down. And the reality is the brain is what it is. It was created as the master controller.
Yeah.
It takes over control of everything when it feels is a threat. So it's its own protective mechanism. I'm the head. I'm thinking of all of these people. You're harming these people. You're hurting them. They keep sending me signals that there's a problem. You know what? Guy, if this guy doesn't want to listen, I'm the controller. Go to rest. So you go limp. And I said, so we need to understand that when it happens, when we're burnt out, when we're stressed, don't hesitate. Take a break. Find something that gets you off your routine.
Or at least completely
away from what has created that burnout. That stress. So I'm a huge fan of cartoon. In the midst of me not being able to travel, animation, animes, cartoons, I watch. If I'm not doing that, few times I run, I walk, I listen to music, I just walk. I do that. And then other times I just want to go away from every single person. So you have to find it. The ones you can take for longer, the ones you can use when you cannot at that point. So you just have to do it. There are days I just tell them in the office, I'm not coming for 1 week. But I'll be home. I'll just turn off everything, watch a bit of cartoon, sleep.
That's so important.
Oh,
it's so important.
I do it and I just sleep and I'm like, yeah. People call me and I'm like, oh, I'm out of town. I'm not out of town. I'm in my house, but I know I need. So we must. And you know, people. Some might just say, oh no, it's not so easy. Trust me, I agree. It's not so easy for someone like me. It's not so easy, but you have to do it. It's not about whether it's easy. Life itself is not easy. You either be ready to do it or
life will do you.
Or you face the consequence. That's it.
How do you sort of connect? I mentioned we're going to talk a bit about trauma, but how creatives respond to trauma, because I think our brains are kind of wired a little differently. For a lot of people, for some people rather, they would rather maybe there's a death in the family or something really traumatic has happened, and your brain as a creative, it designs different scenarios in your head, and sometimes I think we're afraid of our own thoughts.
Yeah.
So if we're left long enough to think about the issues and the troubles and the trauma that we're dealing with, it's almost like a recipe
Yeah.
for
For
disaster.
disaster, I agree.
But at the same time, like you said, the brain is a master
Yeah.
controller,
Yeah.
and you got to deal with
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah.
Otherwise, trauma will deal
Oh
with
yeah.
you
Oh
in
yeah.
ways that you can't even imagine.
Oh yeah.
So, like, how do you? I mean, how do you deal with that? How does a
So
creative deal with that? What are the things that they need to do to first maybe even identify that there is a
yeah.
trauma to deal
Yeah.
with, and then like, okay, this is how I need to get this
Yeah.
done, and so that I can still
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
but not neglect the fact
Yeah.
that my mind
Yeah.
is not at
Yeah.
ease.
So I'm not a professional in that space. So
I'm not speaking
so
to you as a
so
doctor. I'm
so
just saying,
I'm
what's
gonna
your
yeah.
experience?
So I'm gonna talk from my own experience and how I've been in with quite few trauma, losing family members, losing friends, and all of that, and all that. So one of the things I have done and I'm still doing is deciding to accept my reality. Um, Sometimes it's hard, and for us as human, the way the mind works, you want to sort of numb it, and then you just throw it somewhere at the back and then lock it up, and then act like it never
And
happened.
like it never happened.
But the reality is, the brain is what it is. It's a system. It will always recall, and then when you stock up a lot of it in its memory and it's gibberish and it's not supposed to be there, it creates crisis because some way somehow they clash in the middle, they expose themselves, and it's almost like they're sharing a secret and then they expose themselves. So what I've done is I've started learning to deal with it, accept it, um, talk about it. I think talking about it is something I've learned. So I've learned to choose my friend who I know can listen.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how they deal with it after I dump it on them, but I
maybe
have to tell
maybe they then need therapy.
but I have to dump it somewhere because I can't give it in. So what I
Right.
do is I have few friends that are fantastic enough to have good listening ears. They just want to listen. They know it works for me. So I have some fantastic friends that you say it when I say we need to talk, and they say what can I talk? I'm like, I'm not in a good shape. They're like, yeah, please come. They're literally not hearing anything I'm saying. They're just there listening and looking. So, because they know themselves that it's not something they should keep,
Right.
but they know I need that listening here. So I've been lucky to have created, such people. Another thing I I did is actually boldly talk to a sister about it, and then she referred me to a therapist. I actually
You saw a
had yeah, oh yeah,
therapist.
I did. Not that I,
We think in this part of the world, we think therapy is for mad people.
yes, and that's something that culture needs to deal with.
Yeah.
It's a cultural thing. I don't blame anyone. It's a cultural thing. The moment you're saying your mind, they're like, pastor, we think we need to talk. Imam, we have a crisis on our hands. So, or the traditionalist. So the reality is, as humans, we will experience certain things that hit us real bad, and we need to deal with it. And there are people who have been trained. So there's nothing wrong in seeing a therapist. There's nothing wrong in having a conversation with a
I mean, if
therapist.
you're sick in your body, you go
You go
to
to a
the
doctor.
doctor.
So if you're sick in your
If you're
mind, why
sick in
don't
your
you
mind,
seek
yeah,
someone who can actually help?
exactly,
They've been
exactly.
trained. They over time they learned how to. So I did, even though my session wasn't. But I think for me was the fact that I picked up exactly what I needed to pick up at that point, and because of what I picked up, it became easy for me to deal. I kept other conversations over phone calls and everything, but I've been able to deal, and I've started dealing, and I'm in a much, much, much more better
Much
place. But what I
better
would say
place.
is, see, trauma is real, and don't be shy about it. Don't say you can't. Please deal with it. Find someone to share with. If you can't find, get a therapist. There's nothing wrong with you. It is normal.
And you don't even need to you don't even need to go and see somebody that you know. These
Yeah.
days, technology has made things so easy for
They're
us.
even
There are
virtual.
online
Yeah.
and virtual counseling
Yes. Yeah.
platforms
Yes.
that you can speak to someone anonymously.
Yes.
You can get your voice heard. You can
Absolutely.
speak your mind. There's no
Absolutely.
judgment. There's a community
Yeah.
of people that can support you. And it really
Absolutely.
brings me to the conversation. I mean, it's actually a thread that I've seen in as we've been discussing, not just you and I,
Yeah.
but other guests that I've had on the podcast, which is community, community, network, find and surround yourself with people who can support you, who share the same values, who share the same vision, people who are actually really on the lookout for your best interest.
Yeah.
And of course, you also
Yeah.
have to be that same person as
Absolutely.
well. And that's so important as creative people, in fact, as human beings, but especially as creative
Yeah.
people, so that you can continue to inspire and
Yeah.
motivate
Yeah.
yourselves. You can continue to grow together.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, look, at the end of the day, no man is an island.
Absolutely. We're not created to live by ourselves.
Yes.
COVID should have taught us the lesson. COVID should have taught us that lesson.
Yeah,
How it messed people up.
yeah.
When people
A lot of
suddenly
people
realize,
still haven't recovered from that.
yes, because the reality is man was not created to be by himself. For the version of faith that I believe in said God created Adam. And then God chilled one day and said, Adam,
It's
it
not
is
good
not
for
good
man to
for
be
man
alone.
to be by himself. Listen, people don't say it. They say it is not right. He gave him animals, he gave him trees, he gave him the whole garden. But then he's like, listen, it's not good for man to be by himself. So he said, let us create for man a partner for which he can be with. Male, female, whatever. The reality is man
We
cannot
need
be
people.
by himself.
Yeah.
So community is important and we need to be careful. Real community is important. Physical connection is important. You can build your virtual community. So we need to be very careful about what technology is building. Artificial intelligence is fantastic, but it's not human. It shouldn't be our main network. So to
Right.
some people, Siri and what Siri's cousins
Google.
Google, Siri, Google, and the other one with Amazon. What's that? Alexa.
Alexa, that's the one.
Those three people, like I
Are
don't
not
know,
people.
they are not people. And
Human
even
interaction.
yeah, so and then even for those who think social media friends are, I mean, you get to connect with people on social media, but not with your devices. So you need to also be careful with that. You need physical connections. You need to build that, and beyond that, you need to build a community around you. So you need to be intentional. Intentionality is key. So I've got this fantastic guy in the creative space in Nigeria, and I sat down with him. It's one everybody knows. And he said, Kola, I am intentional. I am intentional about my network. When I check, I don't have a lawyer, I find a lawyer to befriend. When I check, I don't have a doctor, I find a doctor to befriend. When I check, I don't have a photographer, I find a photographer to befriend. I am very intentional. I build community around me. That's the only thing that sustains me. And I think that's one thing I learned and what creatives should do. Build communities around you, connect with people, and grow with them. I think it's important, and something we should all learn. It's something we should all make do with. And I think that's the only way to go if we want to survive as creative, as humans, and if we want to build our networks at the end of the day. Because your network
Is
literally
your
defines
yeah.
your network.
I mean, someone said that.
I mean, it's-
Your network is your net worth.
network.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then there was someone who also said, and it was Femi Odugwemi actually. He said, he always makes sure that he's not the smartest person in the room.
Absolutely.
The moment he realizes he's the smartest person in the
I
room,
move out of that
he
room.
moves out of that room.
No, you can't be.
Yeah.
Because the day you realize that is the thing, you think you're God. And
The
then
God
the day,
syndrome.
The God syndrome comes in, everybody bows to you. Life is intentional. I say this to people. One thing that has helped me is my faith. My faith has helped me to understand that when you read the Bible shows an intentional God with an intentional plan.
Yeah.
So if he could create the trees before he created the animals, and he could tell the sea to separate before he created the fish, or tell land to appear before he created man. So he was intentional about everything. He knows what needs to come before the other. I mean, he's God. He could have said, let everything come and happen at the same time. But no, he was intentional. He said, let there be this. And then he saw it was good, and he said, okay, let there now be this. So for us as humans, we need to be intentional. We need to be deliberate. Every step we take must be with an intent and
A plan,
a
a
plan.
purpose.
Yes, and that's the only thing that can get us to where we need to go. We're on a journey. Life itself is a journey. Our career is a journey, so we must understand that while we continue to grow.
Kola, we can keep talking. We can. I feel like we will just keep talking for the next hour. Um, as it is, we've kind of
Yeah.
overrun. but
I can imagine
this
that.
this is why we connect,
Yes,
because
absolutely.
the conversation
Yeah,
just
we
flows,
just keep going,
and
yeah.
and it makes sense. And we're speaking from the heart. And it's so easy, it's so obvious to see that you're speaking from your core, you're speaking from your truth, and that really is what the idea of this podcast is, for people to speak from their truth. And so, in a final question, just to round this up before we go,
Let's go. Let's do it.
let's get ready. Let's get ready.
Let's do it.
Right. So, this is a question I ask everyone, either at the beginning, somewhere in the middle, or at the end, depending on how the conversation goes.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
And this is my final question to you, Mr.
confident.
KKK.
I know I can do it. I trust them. I
What-
believe in myself.
What makes you alpha?
What makes me alpha?
Aside the hat, of course. What makes you alpha?
I think it's my personality. The fact that I'm always happy, and I love people around me to be happy, to look happy. So when I create my work, the bulk of my work is based on happiness. My forte is event photography. What I capture most is the smile. I just want to see people smile, and I think that's what makes me alpha. The smile, the
You
happiness.
do have some really fantastic photographs.
Thank you. I know,
You
I
do
know,
some really
right?
fantastic
I know.
work. It's
I know,
exciting to
right?
see.
I know, right?
I wish you all the best with everything
Thank
that
you
you
so
do, your
much.
endeavors.
Thank you.
We look forward to continue to partner with Business of Photography Conference and
I-
Initiative.
I mean,
I think it's been a really great marriage.
Thank you. Yes,
and,
absolutely.
It can only get better and better.
Better.
Yeah.
Thank you. Can't wait for the next project.
I can't wait for the next one, guys. It's been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, as I say, I'll see you on the next one.